Hello, folks. Hey, Renee Pie. Greetings. Welcome back for another round of test-driven development in Swift. And say hi if you're here. Of course, if you want to lurk, that's totally fine too. You do whatever is you. And to give you some context for folks who haven't watched the previous sessions, I have a survey, and I asked a bunch of questions about what people want in an iOS testing online video course. And I'm trying to process the results. And hello, Anibal and Saguccio. Greetings. Welcome. Let's before we get started, I just hope everyone's doing all right. You're hanging in there 1 year into this pandemic. But I know there's been suffering, so I just wanted to acknowledge that. Let's see here. Oh, let's not go there yet. Let's go here. All right. Hi, David. Hey, John. A colleague has a question. Maybe you can help. He's wondering if there are any devs out in the wild that are using XCUI test for over a year. If so, please contact Lancerkind or Lancerkind at TDD Academy. So anyone who's watching this and has a XCUI test experience, you might want to get in touch. I've only done a little bit, but I know there are folks out there who have done quite a bit. So thanks, David, and get in touch as you see on the chat. All right. And by the way, feel free to interrupt with other random questions and chats. Maybe we'll have a little time for discussions, but we can just do that as we go. That's why I've got an eye on the chat. Let's see here. So I am working with a survey, which is a bunch of rows. These are comma separated values, and it comes in like with one thing that we ignore, and then a weight, which we have analyzed and given a Fibonacci weighting to, so that folks who are really interested in my mythical course can, I will give them quite a bit of interest. Folks who are really not interested, I give only a little bit of weight to their answers. So we've got, I'm gonna have to look it up. Let's see. All right. This is, whoops, kind of, oh, I want to scroll. There we go. All right. So here's the stuff. The first, let me set this on. Uh-oh. Hang on. Got some sort of problems here with my phone control. I'm gonna bring it back. Aw, it can't find it. No, there we go. Okay. All right, so the first column I'm ignoring for the purposes of this analysis. Second column is how interested are you? The third, uh, the third column is a question, so we should ignore that. And then we have up to 4 answers. So problem 1, problem 2, problem 3, and problem 4. Now, I think what I'd like to do, by the way, let me go a little more to the right. There are other questions in the survey and other answers, up to 4 of those. But let's start with just like what's the big problem you face? Oh, I don't want to ignore. No, I do want to ignore the this long stuff here. That's not the question. That's the actual answer. But that's the literal, like it was a free form text input. You know, tell me what annoys you in your day with unit testing. And so it was freeform. It's my analysis of that where I went through each one and tried to figure out what are some keywords. How do I classify each answer? So I do ignore it. I'm just going to mark this down here. Ignore it, and then I want to take up to 4 answers and put them in an array. So this will be where we're going to start. And this is going to be the problem or problems, something like that. All right, let's give it a whirl. Hide this, I'll show this. And just to make sure everything is still fine, let's run tests. Last time, in case you missed last time, it was some of the coolest like new development I've done in that I had, 5 different test cases broken down into, test methods. And I used Bill Wake's technique of making it giving XE test case the ability to do parameterized tests. Actually, it's not giving XE test case anything. It's just running multiple tests. So it runs, this is the test, and these are the parameters. And that was really exciting. So check that out in the last recording. If you haven't seen that, that's definitely worth some looking into. But now let's go on. Let's start with a new test, which is a great place to start. So what do I want? Now I need to think about, like, what is this? I want to like gather the problems into an array. So I'll just start typing. Now, when you're starting, when you're doing any sort of work on an array, one of the best things to do is to first handle the empty case. I don't know about the naming of this yet, but it's good enough for now. And let's see. So I want to make a weighted entry out of out of a comma separated entry where it's going to be source one. This is the freeform answer. And then I have, let's see, one, I'm going to 2, 3, 4, kind of like that. Except now let me make it empty. So this is my input. So what can I scroll up a bit? Oh, thank you, Renee. In fact, let me turn that off for now. That should help. Thank you. Okay, so this is the test that you couldn't see before. I'm not sure about the wording yet. It's just sort of like it's better than calling it test foo, is to say I want to gather the problems into an array, but there are no problems. And so here we have the empty problems. And if this is the weighted entry, then what I want to assert is that the weighted entry problems maybe not equal to empty, but maybe true. Is that right? Something like this. Of course, problems doesn't exist yet, and that's fine. So let's make it. Now I want the test to fail. So let's see if this works. And I want to see if it failed in the way that I expect. Also, I want to check the failure message. And in this case, even though I used is empty, because that seemed more Swifty to say that, look at the problem we have here. This is not something I planned on. With the failure message, it just says failed. Well, it would be useful to know what was in there. Like, if something snuck into the problems, I want to know what that was. So let's not do this after all. Let's instead compare it to empty array. And this time, there we go. That's better. So now we have a failure that looks good, and that's one reason why it's so important to see your tests fail. One reason, there are a number of reasons. One is to test the test, but the other is to test the failure message of the test and to make sure that it's useful, especially because most of the time these tests are run, you won't be running them locally. They will be run for you on your build system. So now let's fix this by making it an empty string. This should pass. Good. And that's good enough. All right. Okay, so now we can continue. Let's see if I can do with like one problem. Again, continuing the sort of the pattern that I'm so used to with arrays. anytime you're dealing with a collection, not just an array, but any sort of collection of data, is typically you want to start with the 0, empty. And then the next hardest thing is 1. So let's say this is going to be P1 for problem 1. And this should be like that. All right, and this should fail. I wish that I didn't see all this gobbledygook, that there was a way to suppress the, all this output. I suppose I can just click on the test there and jump to it. That's easier. All right, so now we've got the failing case, and now let's see what we can do. The comma separated entry is split with a separator like that. We have column 1. A weight is assigned like that. So let's say problems is going to be equal to column whatever it is. 0, 1, 2, 3. And what's wrong here? So we have a substring, so we need to turn it back into a string like that. And now okay. And now this is saying it should be var. And let's see if this works. Oops. The empty thing failed. I wonder why that is. Oh. Wait a second, though. Okay, now we throw it open because I'm lost. Why did this fail? And if you have any ideas, please let me know. So it failed for the case where there are no answers. And this is also why it's important to have these tests. I just broke something. Oh, no. Like I kind of expected the split to give me an empty string there. Let's see what we have. Let's just run this one test by itself. And let me set a breakpoint so I can see what's going on a little better. Column 3 will return any empty string. Let's see what we have here. So we have column. Column has 3 values only. It's like, I wonder if there's another argument to split. Max splits omitting empty subsequences. Oh, there it is. That's probably it. Omitting empty subsequences is something that's true by default. Let me try setting that to false and see if that works. Okay, it's better. It didn't crash. It didn't crash at least. So let's let me see what's going on again. This time we should have several columns, and so the thing I'm using to show like what keyboard commands I'm using, I'm using app code, and app code has plugins. Like app code has plugins, folks, unlike another IDE. And what is the name of the one I'm using? I'm trying to see. Can't remember. Oh, there it is. Presentation Assistant. So if you use app code, very handy. And you're sharing your screen, even if you're pairing with somebody, that might be really important in a pairing or ensemble programming situation where you're on in an IDE, so that other folks can see what's going on because they can't watch your fingers. All right, so we've got these columns. Oops. So that looks good. It's coming back as empty string. So if I take column 3 and turn it into a string and an array, that seems... Oh, I see. I see. So I'm violating my test because... Here, let's just see it pass. This is not what I want. Yeah, okay. So I don't really want empty strings. Like, I want them to be thrown out. I want them to be filtered out. So this is an interesting problem and nothing that I anticipated. We do want it to go like this, where if the string is empty, it gets culled. It's just filtered. So let's work on that. Let's see if we can say, now we're doing TDD. So I want to get to green as fast as I can, and then we can sort out how to make the code nice. So let's first extract this to a variable. I'll call it problem1. And I'll say if problem1 length. It's not length. What is it? Don't strings have lengths? Count. Thank you. All right, so this is ugly. Oh, but it passes. and this is cool. This is I'm excited because I thought this would be kind of boring. But problems are Real problems are always have subtleties to them. That's why we are paid to program for people, is that the real world is one way and our models are another way, and we need to sort of stitch them together. But this passes, so I'm going to check it in. Works for one problem. Is empty also works with strings. Let's try it. I'll say not that, but say if it's not empty. Good, so that's a valid refactoring. And now, how to make this better. The answer may be more evident when we get to like more than one problem. This is a funny thing with TDD, is that we want to go test fails, test passes with whatever code you can get to get it to pass, and then clean it up. But sometimes the cleanup part, you want to wait a little bit, like for a second example, before you get all crazy and start trimming it down. However, it might be worth experimenting. Like if we, I don't know. I have a hunch that there's going to be some sort of, functional programming that will help us here. Why don't we continue? We'll just leave this a little bit ugly. And now we'll say we had no problems. We have one problem. We could go to 2, or we could go all the way to 4. Let's see. Let's just go. Let's dive in. Expect this to fail, and it didn't fail. Surprise! Why didn't it fail? And the answer is that this is the test. It shows that I was running a specific test, not the test suite. This is the same thing as clicking on the arrows, which you can do in Xcode also. And that's one thing I see folks do a lot when they're running tests, is that they will go and run one test by itself. Now, I was running one test in order to dig in using the debugger. But now that I'm done with that, I really want to run all tests. So now, oops. Now we got problem. I may have failed in my previous attempt. At this point, the safest thing to do is to disable this test. And to disable a test, unfortunately, we don't have anything like this. Please, if anyone is watching from Apple, please see if you can do something like this. But we don't. Instead, here's the trick. It doesn't matter what you put. It can be anything, as long as it doesn't start with TEST, it will not be picked up as a test case. And that's also because Really? What I want is this. Like, I don't want to have to say test on everything, but we do. So let's disable it because I'm not ready to go there. Instead, let's get back to something is wrong here. Index out of range. All right. I'm done messed up. It's out of range because in my examples here, I didn't have that many columns. How about XCT skip? That's a good suggestion. Let's see if that works. Let's try it. Boom. Thank you. I kind of forgot about it because even though I made the video talking about what's new in Xcode 12 for unit testing, I have only just switched to Xcode 12 in production. We've been on Xcode 11 for some time because we were having all sorts of troubles getting to Xcode 12. So thank you. This is great. It's really good because now we can see, you know, it's called out there instead of just hiding. Excellent. Thank you. All right, how to solve this? One way to solve it would be to expand the inputs a bit. That's probably the easiest way. The other way is to say, you know, maybe not assume that I have so many columns, but the thing is, in the real data, I do have that many columns. Is this the CSV? Yeah. I've got loads of data with lots of columns. Well, not knowing what to do, for sure, I am going to add some answers. Let's see if this works. Xcode also has column editing. And there we go. Terminated. Is it down? Oops. All right. I'm not sure what's going on, but we'll just continue. Let me know if I'm kind of now blind. I can't see myself. Oh, there we go. Funky connections. All right. So now it says terminated, but it says stop. Tests 4 out of 5 passed. Okay, so let's get this. Oops, fix. Out of range. All right. Now let's come back and try to get this going. Okay. Now this fails as expected. By the way, I hope this is reassuring to you that like I run into problems and I make mistakes and like I was only running one test and I broke another one and I wasn't aware of it. And um, hey, it's me. I'm just a person too. Let's see what we can do now with the implementation. So now we have probably several problems that we want to coalesce. Okay, I'm going to do it brute force. Brute force. This is going to be bad. But it will help us see things. Actually, yeah, before I dive into them all, let's see if we can do two. I'm going to comment out this code that I just added just to make sure that since I'm changing the test now, it seems jumping all the way to 4 was maybe a little more challenging. So I changed my mind. And now let's see if we can do this. This is not going to be problems equal problem 2. This is going to be problems append problem 2. And now some of the shape of the code starts to come out. Whoops. What's wrong? I'm broken. I'm done messed up. If problem 1 is empty, oh. Hey, this is why we TDD, folks. It's not that you wouldn't make a dumb mistake like this. Yeah, thanks. It's not that we don't make dumb mistakes like this. We do all the time. And it's not like you can't find and fix these problems in normal coding. It's that TDD gives me immediate feedback that I broke something. So never like, it doesn't even become a commit unless you mess up and commit a failing test like I did. So that works. I need to change something here. Oh, well, I'm not going to worry about it. Okay, so now we can look at the shape of this. And when we're refactoring, we want code that's dissimilar to look similar. So instead of assigning this, we really want it to look more like that other one. And let's see if this works. Okay. Now what? So now these are similar. We have problem 1 and problem 2. And up to 4 problems. Do we want to tackle 4? Do we want to do 2? Do we want to boil these down? I'm not sure, but I do need a bio break, and so I will be right back. Thank you for waiting. We're back, and I feel like we're really close to the solution to this. Now I need your help with, like, how do we clean this up? How do we make it, not repeat? not repeat in dumb code like this? How do we make it handle not one problem, not two problems, but any number of problems? Well, four. Four problems. And I'm really not sure. It's like we have to take columns 3 through something. Like, can you do this 3 through 6? I think so. Well, let me build just to see. Okay, seems to work. And what is this? It is a slice of string subsequences. All right, that seems useful. How to take this and transform it? If we have a slice of them and now we want to filter out any that are empty, I'm just spitballing here. If you have any ideas, please let me know. Like, can I filter? What's different between these? I'm not sure. Is included. Okay, so this is going to be not empty. That seems to be okay also. Yeah. Let me turn off all messages and just show issues. There we go. All right. Index in 3 to 7. 3, 4, 5, 6. I have up to 4 answers. So I think it's 3 to 6 inclusive of both ends, whatever you call that, what, closed range? All right, so I think I've filtered out now anything that's not empty, and I should be able to say problems and contents of the sequence, except we have to transform them from substrings into strings. Well, let's see. Right, that's not going to fly because the types are wrong. And so I want to map them now to that. Before I do this, let me see what we get if we have a, yeah, if this were extracted to a variable, it would be an array of strings. So that seems okay. So why didn't it like that? Or maybe it's still catching up. No. Oh. Result of call to map. Ah, yeah. Thank you filter doesn't modify it. It returns a new array, and I'm not using that thing. Thank you. All right, so we'll just do this step by step here. I'm being lazy. I'm just trying to get it to work. I'm going to comment that out just so it's there for reference, but I kind of think this might work. It does. Boop, boop. So we can get rid of that and clean it up. All right. Unfortunately, and it doesn't have to append anymore. It could potentially be this. Indeed it does. So now I should be able to say that. Unfortunately, we don't yet have inline variable in app code. You can upvote that. And now I should be able to say columns 3 through 6. And let's filter them and map them. Hi! This is great. Thanks for helping. And now I'm going to add one more test. All that was driven by going from empty to one thing to two things. Now, I expect 4 things will just work. And I expect, I'm no longer exactly doing TDD. I'm doing a confirmation test. Like, I just want to know. And that's totally fine. And this should be P3 and P4. And I think this will work. Woo! Now that that works, I really don't need this, the 2 problems one. As soon as a test is no longer adding value, get rid of it. Because there's nothing about the 2 problems one that the 4 problems test wouldn't find. I still kind of like having 0 and 1, but this is good. All right, very good. I'm really liking this. And I like how we were able to boil down those things and various, temporary variables and if statements and append statements and just make it a filter and a map. I like it. This seems very, very straightforward and good. Okay. We've been going not quite an hour because I started a little late. Sorry about that. But thanks for sticking around. I think that will do it. If I can get this thing to work. There we go. I think that'll do it for today. Next week is a iOS Dev Happy Hour, so I don't want to conflict with that. Please, if you're interested in the happy hour go. I'll probably go this time. So no stream next week. I'll try to be on 2 weeks from now. Any other thoughts? Those of you who are still around, thanks for joining. I hope this was interesting and helpful. And thank you for helping me and for chiming in with the chats, both on the streaming problems and the coding problems. If you're not watching this live, if you're watching this as a recording on YouTube, please give it a like. If you're still here, you must be okay with it. Subscribe, hit the bell, all those things. All right.